What's today's topic?
We are continuing on the discussion on the third key to the bliss. We're talking about 4 keys to the bliss. This is the third key. And the third key we were talking about was the bondage of the ego. So we talked about those youngsters who got drunk in the middle of night and they set out to sail in the boat that was, attached on the side. And then they started rowing and then kept going all night. And early in the morning when the sun came out, they said, let's see where we are, because they were drunk. They never realized. And then they got out, started laughing. He says, we never left the shore because the boats were still tied to the shore.
Yeah, you told last time.
Right? So that's what we talked about last time. So that's our condition. Our tying to the shore is so strong that we don't enjoy the freedom of going into the middle of the ocean. The middle of the ocean is the bliss, where it's total freedom. But our ego means our identifications with our body, our possessions, me, mine, you, yours. All these things are the attachments that we are not able to leave. We are tied to the material world, not even realizing that there is another beautiful world out there. We can still be in the material world with freedom, of that feeling of the freedom inside. And that is the third key that's important to cut that bondage of the ego. The ego is the binding factor. So we exist in the spiritual form, and the material world exists in its matter form, and our ego ties with all these material things that's around us. And then not realizing, we call this me and mine and all these things, and we invest all our lives to make castles and buildings and palaces and create this and create that, and we tell each other do this and do that, and because they have to conform the way we want, and all these things, all these efforts are required only because of our identification with ourselves. And a lot of times we don't even know ourselves. The life is like a tree. When the tree grows, you see the beautiful branches, you see the beautiful leaves, sparkling in the sun, and all these glorious things you see, but you never see the roots. Our roots are inside, and we never take care of the roots. And that's where the real care needs to be taken. So we were talking about that Mao Zedong, when he was young, right? His mother got sick, and mother was a very expert gardener. So he said that, Mom, I'll take care of, because she couldn't even get out of the bed. So she says, I'll take care of the garden, don't worry about it. He was 9-year-old. He took care of every single leaf, every single plant, and yet in 2 weeks, the garden was almost half dead. So Mom had tears in her eyes. Says, what did you do? He says, I did everything. I watered the plants, I watered the leaves, I watered the flowers, I touched them, I hugged them, I took care of everything they used to do. But he never watered the roots. So the roots were never taken care of. And he wrote in his autobiography, he says, I learned that the roots are more important. If the roots are taken care of, the rest of the life is taken care of. Exactly. Our roots are within. All our emotions, all our actions, all our desires come from within. If you don't know yourself, how are you going to take care of those things? That's why Rajneesh is so much against doing the rules and regulations and all the rituals, and all these things are external things. If I tell you don't steal, don't lie, don't do this and don't do this, those are all external things. We are focusing only on the behavior. Behavior is motivated by your thoughts, and thoughts are motivated by your vrittis and vasanas. And your vrittis and vasanas are there only because you don't know yourself. The lack of vidya. That's avidya. That is the first mistake of a human being, is the lack of knowledge. If we don't have that knowledge, we're going to going on the right direction. From the lack of knowledge arises asmita. Asmita means asmi, means I am. I amness. I amness starts. From asmita, likes and dislikes comes. So the asmita leads to raga and dvesha. And raga and dvesha leads to clinging to the life. So by our likings and dislikings, we want something from the life. I want something that I like, and I run away from something that I don't like. And my interaction with sansar goes on till I die. Maybe another life, till I die. Another life, till I die. It never ends. Yesterday I was listening, and Buddha had said that once you make a desire that you want to take a journey within, from that desire until enlightenment is 7 lives. It's not so bad compared to millions of lives we might have wasted. So it's first the decision has to be made that, okay, I have an intention to go within and find out. And there is no challenge. There are no written exams to take. All you have to do is spend a little time and interact with yourself. What's that?
Sankalp.
Sankalp.
Not the thought.
Yes.
Not
Just
the
the sankalp.
Okay.
A firm thought. So
Firm.
that you at least start the direction in your journey in that direction. And the journey is beautiful journey where you don't have to do anything. Every single journey in the material world requires some efforts. It starts with the sense of dissatisfaction that I don't have this and I want this. I'm not there and I want to be there. I want such and such person, I want such and such an amount of money, I want such and such amount of position in life, and I'm not there yet. So imagine the signs of dissatisfaction that you have to begin with. So you're starting your journey in a dissatisfied way. You're carrying out your journey in a totally dissatisfied way until you make it to the goal. What are the chances you're making all the goals that you wanted? Out of 100 goals you have right now, how many goals do you think you're going to make it? How many goals did you have 5 years ago? How many of them did you make it? Every single stock that you thought was going to be a blockbuster. And where are we now? Yes.
That's why our Guruji says
Right.
that before you go to bed and when you get up in the morning, say 10 times, I am not this, I am that, help me God.
Right.
I am not this, I am that, help me God.
I am that means what?
That we don't know.
That's what I'm telling you.
He still don't know what is that.
He keeps on telling, you keeps on listening, but you don't know what that means.
That you don't worry about that.
No, you worry about it. That's why you are here.
Our Guruji said you don't worry
Forget
about
about that.
You should know what is that.
What is that? You
What
are
is that?
That
Atma.
will come. That
No,
will
that's-
come automatically.
No,
No, it
it's
doesn't
not.
come automatically. You have to make efforts. You have to sit down and you have to meditate. You have to try to go within. That is within you.
Mechanically repeating doesn't
Exactly.
help. By mechanic
will-
doing that, not going to
It
help.
will help slowly.
No, it
slowly.
No,
won't.
repetition does not.
Repetition
It's mechanical
doesn't
thing.
help.
That's exactly what I was saying. That every religion
Pay
is flooded
attention.
with all these instructions. Do this and do this and do then things will happen. It does
It
not
won't
happen.
happen.
You have to make the efforts to realize yourself.
Yeah.
You have to have guts. We are afraid to go within because there is nothing there. There is nothing to do.
It's bullock cart going around, aankhein band karke, okay, doing this, okay, doing this. It's going around and around, nothing happens.
When I give you an assignment that do this, everybody likes it. That's all they are for. Our mind, this is a function of the mind. Mind wants to do something. Mind generates the ego. Then mind likes to do this. Mind does not like to do this and that. As long as you give mind an activity, mind is alive. But that I am that is beyond the mind. So the mind has to die. Now, along with the mind, the action has to die. Along with the mind, doer has to die. Along with the mind, objectives, the goals, and all these things has to die. That's why I say it's a beautiful journey within, but it is not a journey.
But I think
You stop your journeys and you are right there. And to stop the journey, you have to stop your mind. The mind has to dissolve. Then only you are somewhere. Otherwise, you are nowhere. If I give you some instruction, do this, you're going to keep doing it all your life and you
But-
will not reach anywhere.
But that when he's saying I'm not this, I'm that, means I'm not Shrenik, I'm Atma.
Atma.
That's
exactly.
that's what he
I'm
means.
saying.
But he doesn't know.
understand.
Yeah, he-
Obviously,
No,
right?
no, he said you don't have to know now.
Of course you have to
keep
know.
repeating that.
No,
But
no.
You didn't get it, he explained.
Yeah, he explained
You
it.
didn't get it.
But to go that one it takes too much time. So that's why you don't worry about that.
We have nothing
Just
to
say
do.
that.
No,
We have a lot
no
of
one
time.
will say that don't worry about it.
No,
You
no.
should worry about it
Yeah.
because this is very important
You have to know where
journey.
you're going.
This is a very important journey we all are ready to take. That's the spiritual journey. And unless you make an effort, you cannot reach there. And that's exactly what he's saying. You are not this. You are not Lakshman. You are not this. You are not this. Yes, you are that.
You are that.
And everybody is that. And that you can
Atma.
understand only when you go within.
You are that. Help me, God. Like that. Help me, God.
I
The God
understand
help
that.
me.
He
But
stuck
you
to the
are
word.
God. That's the thing. It's not a question that God is some esoteric stuff then that's going to come and help you. You are God. You are that formless entity. When you meditate, you will see. You have to go deep within and you will see yourself. You will realize your limitless, infinite nature. And when you realize that infinite nature, all those objectives and the goals and somebody insulted you, whatever, all those things seem so flimsy. your desires for this and desires for that, it seems out of proportion. And he says, this is our like, pehle sharab nasha thi, ab jindagi nasha hai. Now the whole life has become nasha. So at that point, what do you care? What do you care about small little trivial things? It doesn't matter. But that's where we are tied. We are tied to the materialism.
Tied to the shore.
And the thing is that we are tied so much that we have so much faith in materialism that we think that material life is going to give me the pleasure that I want. And that's what we said earlier, Patanjali calls abhinivesh, is clinging to the life.
Clinging to the shore.
Clinging to the shore. Same thing. You cannot enjoy the open ocean.
Time kidhar hai meditation karne?
No. Because we always have some objectives built up in our life. That I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do that. And it never ends. And then life comes to an end. But one thing is for sure, inside, the material body is definitely disintegrating day by day. And the death is going to be knocking on your door one of these days. And at that time, you will be sorry. All the things that you have done materially, it will seem so fruitless. I wasted my time. And Rajni says, you will feel sorry. The only thing you will feel good about, you have made any spiritual progress, you will feel good about it. That's why it's so important. And that's the only reality. If you really go within, so the experiences you will get are amazing. And you will realize that it is so beautiful. It is so speechless, total silence. And it's full of energy and full of vitality, full of beauty, full of peace. And all those things are so priceless in this material world. Because the minute you open your eyes and you start acting, you are bombarded with, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do this, you have to do that, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to defend what I have to acquire more. All these things, running around, never ends. And there is no peace. So the real peace is within. But at some point, that starts spilling. It starts spilling into your day-to-day life, and you realize that that silence that was within is walking with you. Everything that you do, you're walking around with that silence. Somebody says something, fine, doesn't bother you. You can take it coolly because you are that silence. You have no way to react. You have no arms, you have no legs. You are a formless entity. Fine, no problem. Mind, you will use it for day-to-day practical purposes, but not necessarily to build the castles. Whatever you make it in life, the life will take it away. If the life does not, death will take it away.
Correct.
So one way or the
Very
other,
nice.
you're going to be a loser.
Very nice.
Only if you look at the broad picture, then you are the wise guy. Otherwise, so stupid. You keep on accumulating and accumulating. And people do that till the end of their life. Carnegie, when he died, had a $10 billion. And
Carnegie, kaun?
Carnegie,
Carnegie Hall?
Andrew Carnegie.
Andrew Carnegie.
Okay.
So when he died, he had a $10 billion. So his friend said that you must be so happy you're going this way. Are you crazy? He says, I wanted 100 billion. And he died.
Rajni says we become guardians of that money.
Exactly.
All day long you say, make sure nobody else
Right.
takes it away.
And we take so much pride in our money and this and that. And the Hindu scriptures had a great concept once I read. Say, Lakshmi na gar badla.
Lakshmi.
The money just changes the houses.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you
Lakshmi
think
ne
it's
ghar
yours.
badla.
हाँ, लक्ष्मी ने घर बदला. आज
शुक्र है
तेरे घर है,
लक्ष्मण नहीं बोला.
कल उसके घर जाएगी, कल उसके घर जाएगी.
शुक्र है लक्ष्मण नहीं बोला.
Kiran wishes Lakshman ghar badle.
लक्ष्मी के बाद लक्ष्मण बोल दिया होता तो फिर
किरण को कितना ध्यान रखना पड़ता है. आई एम दैट. उसके को स्पिरिचुअल सिखाने के लिए भी तेरे पर ध्यान रखना पड़ता है. तो किरण बोले मेरे को ये तो नहीं करना पड़ेगा.
और हमारे गुरुजी बोलते हैं मेडिटेशन इज अ डिफिकल्ट प्रोसेस. इफ यू फाइंड डिफिकल्ट जस्ट सिट इन साइलेंस फॉर 10 to 15 minutes every day, same time, same place.
Right.
So he says same time and same place is necessary.
True.
That
To condition the mind.
To condition
Agree.
the mind. Yeah.
This mind is a powerful thing. Hard to get rid of.
Right.
Yeah.
Like a monkey. Keep jumping.
So, mind is equivalent to the ego. Mind creates all the identifications. So, to drop the ego, what do? So now we realize the bondage of the ego is a hindrance to reach to the state of bliss. So how do you get rid of the ego? Now, we have to realize that ego is fake. Ego is our creation. It is a part of the great illusion that we have created by ourselves, and it's our own mistake. Part of the illusion was created by the nature. It gave us the body. So we started identifying with our body, and they said, this is me. So that was part of the nature's illusion, and the other part was then me and mine and I and you and all those things we created ourselves. All this is only practicalities. It is necessary that everybody has to have a name. Otherwise, identification in the crowd will become really a problem. Just the way everybody has names, I is just another name to identify yourself against somebody else. So I is just another name used by themselves for each person. So there is nothing more than that. So it's only a practical purpose, but that I has become so big. So we have created all these illusions about the ownership and holding and acquiring and fighting for it and the greed and all these things. So all the life's journey goes defending that I. So the whole thing is fake. It's like a shadow. How do you fight your shadow? You cannot get rid of the shadow. It's going to be there. So if you are in a darkness, for example, and you have to get rid of the darkness, what do? You cannot make any plans which involves the darkness itself. It has to involve some plan which brings in some kind of light from outside. Then only the darkness will disappear. So ego is a totally fake thing. Ego is not something that is real. So you cannot have any weapons. You cannot destroy it. All you can do is understand it. Because to get rid of the ego, it becomes another act. And any action requires the mind. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, the mind is the creator of a thought that you don't have something, you want something, right? Now, I'm feeding your mind that you have to get rid of your ego. So now your mind immediately will start thinking, what should I do to get rid of the ego? That's like a dog trying to catch its own tail. The more it goes, the farther it goes away. Then he jumps, and the tail jumps away from him. So we're going in vicious circle. So to get rid of the ego, for example, I'll give you an example. Rajneesh met somebody, and he was a sannyasi for like 20 years. And he said that every time I met him, he never failed to mention that he had given up ₹1,00,000, which was a lot of money at that time, 20 years ago. So Rajneesh says, can I tell you something? He says, मैंने लात मार दी थी ₹1,00,000 को, and I just walked away. तो Rajneesh says, लगता है कि आपकी लात अभी लगी नहीं है ₹1,00,000 Giving up money is easy, but giving up the doership is very difficult.
Remembering that lakh.
Right. So either way,
doership का meaning क्या है?
doer means I'm doing something.
I did it.
I did it. So his mind at that time was on ₹1,00,000, but then later on his mind was on giving up. I gave up.
I gave up.
The I never died. So he never gave up. Whether you physically give up or not doesn't matter. Just because you lose 60% of your assets on internet doesn't mean you gave it up. The society tells me like
What I've noticed is
You
most
said
of the
2
people
hours I did yoga.
right?
are stuck there.
Exactly.
That is the stuck point.
That is where people get stuck.
Yes.
And
I
this is
should go.
this is a very subtle
No
play
need to know.
of the mind. Mind was created. It's a part of our nature.
To help
Mind
us.
wants its existence. Mind wants to exist. Mind wants to survive, no matter what. And this is a very subtle point that nobody gets it. Donations, people do, but they never fail to mention that I did. And until the ego dies, you can never meet Paramatma. And all these temples and all these religions have created atmosphere for you to practice your ego. The moment you get fed up with the society, You go to the temples and you donate something. And then they put down your big name and all that. Your ego is satisfied. Where is Paramatma? Paramatma can never exist until the ego is there. Transcendental state, a state of mindlessness, state of thoughtlessness is what is needed. But this is just replacing the thoughts. That's why Rajni says, dhyan chaho,
Dhan cha.
dhan chaho ya dhyan chaho, pad chaho, Paramatma chaho. Chahi sansar hai. Your desire is sansar. Your desire is the play of mind. But you transcend the mind. How do you transcend the mind? That's where the thing is there. So, now in Jain scriptures, they have put down that when Mahavir Swami became monk, he gave up all his possessions, right? Now, every year or every few years, the numbers get bigger and bigger. Say 1,000 elephants, then comes 10,000 elephants, and then Buddha, they didn't think that it was really inferior of Buddhism, so they add one more figure, saying 10,001. And it's just a silly game.